Ronda Radyo Balita. Oras sudyat mga tagapakinig, 3 minuto makalipas ang 2:00 ng tanghali. Tuloy-tuloy ang kwentuhan, balitaan sa Ronda Radyo Balita. Ang susunod na programa ay rated SPG. Striktong patnubay at gabay ng magulang ang kailangan para sa mga batang manonood at tagapakinig.
Energize with Milo every day and do champ moves like James.
Energize!
Start your day the champion way.
Happy energy, energy gap. The energy gap.
Drink Milo every day.
Milo every day.
With your 3 balanced meals, beat energy gap. Drink Milo every day.
Milo every day.
Drink Milo every day and help beat energy gap like a champ.
Mahabharata.
The Night Attack. Book 10 begins with the night attack on the Pandava camp by Ashwatthama, Kripa, and Kritavarma, the 3 survivors from the Kaurava side. They massacred the Pandava warriors in their sleep. The survival of Pandavas. Despite the brutal attack, some Pandavas and their allies managed to survive, including Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, and their wife Draupadi. Krishna's intervention. Lord Krishna arrives at the scene and helps the Pandavas in their time of crisis. He provides solace to the grieving Draupadi and promises to ensure that justice for the perpetrators. The cremation of warriors. The survivors of the night attack conduct funeral rites for their fallen comrades, and Krishna advises them on how to deal with the situation. Arjuna vows revenge. Arjuna vows to take revenge on Ashwatthama for his heinous attack, and Krishna assures him that justice will be served. Ashwatthama's curse. Ashwatthama, feeling guilty and remorseful, releases the Brahmastra, a powerful weapon at the womb of Uttara. Lord Krishna intervenes to save the unborn child, but not without consequences.
Book 11 of the Mahabharata is known as the Stree Parva, or the Book of the Women. In this section of the epic, the aftermath of the Great War, Kurukshetra War, is depicted, focusing on the impact of the war on the women and families of the slain warriors. It explores the grief, lamentation, and struggles faced by the women left behind after the war. Highlights from the Stree Parva include: the book begins with the sorrow and mourning of the women who have lost their sons, husbands, and relatives in the battle. The women express their anguish and grief over the loss of their loved ones. Lord Krishna visits the grieving women to console and provide them with solace. He offers guidance and wisdom to help them cope with their loss and find meaning in their suffering. Lessons and moral guidance. Krishna imparts valuable life lessons and moral guidance, emphasizing the impermanence of life and the importance of detachment and inner strength in times of adversity. The women reflect on the destructive nature of war and the consequences it has on families, society, and the entire world. They question the reasons for engaging in such a brutal conflict. The book also includes stories and anecdotes from the lives of various women, illustrating their virtues, resilience, and the challenges they faced during and after the war. Overall, Book 11 of the Mahabharata sheds light on the human aspect of war, focusing on the emotions, suffering, and resilience of the women affected by the epic battle of Kurukshetra.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Kuya Derry, at tara't pag-usapan natin ang nakakamangha at makulay na kwento o epikong Mahabharata, ang Book 12, The Peaceful Aftermath. Sa Book 12 ng Mahabharata, ang kwento ay nagpapatuloy pagkatapos ng malupit na digmaan sa pagitan ng Pandavas at Kauravas. Nagwagi ang mga Pandava, subalit ang naging halakhak ay lubos na nag-iwan ng malalim na aral. Sa paglisan ni Lord Krishna mula sa mundo, naging madilim ang kalakaran ng Kali Yuga, ang kasalukuyang panahon ng kaharian. Ang mga Pandava, sa kanilang pagtanda, ay nagpasya na sumumpa sa simpleng pamumuhay sa bundok. Subalit, ang pagkawala ni Yudhishthira ay nagdulot ng matinding pagluha sa kanyang puso. Si Yudhishthira ay nagkaroon ng isang masusing pagninilay-nilay at pinalad na natagpuan niya ang daan tungo sa Himala, ang punot dulo ng kanyang paglalakbay. Ito ang mensahe na isinasaad ng Book 12, ang landasin ng katarungan ay hindi palaging madaling sundan, subalit mahalaga itong pagtahaking. Habang tumatagal ang pag-uusap natin, hindi maitatangging ang Mahabharata ay puno ng mga aspeto ng buhay, mula sa pag-ibig, pagkakaibigan, at pagtitiwala sa mga pagsubok ng buhay. Ito ay hindi lamang isang epikong Hindo, ito ay kwento ng pag-usbong at pagkabigo, ng katapangan at kabutihan. Sa pagtatapos ng Book 12, natutunan natin na sa kabila ng lahat ng paghihirap, ang pag-asa at katarungan ay maaaring umusbong. Ito'y hindi lamang kwento ng nakaraan, kundi isang aral na maaari nating gamitin sa ating mga buhay ngayon. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Naway nag-enjoy kayo sa ating pagsasalaysay tungkol sa Mahabharata Book 12, The Peaceful Aftermath. Samahan niyo kami sa mga susunod na episode para sa higit pang mga kwento at aral.
Yudhishthira continues his conversation with Bhisma. Now focusing on all that it takes to live life well, they discuss tranquility, the virtues of devotion and compassion, and the danger of giving instruction to someone from a lower caste. They also discuss more explicitly religious matters, such as the 1,000 names of Saiva, and how one can only become a Brahmin through rebirth. This is when Bhisma tells Yudhishthira that the role of kings is to honor and protect Brahmins. They also talk about women. The conversation starts off talking about their capricious nature, as well as their tendencies towards deceit and wrongdoing. Bhisma then goes on to outline the various arrangements for marriage and the terms for how a girl should be married. Naturally, this leads to a conversation about bearing children and various other domestic matters. The conversation returns to how a king can rule well, and goes through a series of questions Yudhishthira has about giving gifts and the virtues of giving cattle. Their dialogue concludes with explanations of heaven, hell, and honor. Upon the conclusion of their conversation, Yudhishthira takes up his kingship. After ruling for 50 days, he sets out to bring Bhisma the preparations for his cremation. Bhisma tells Dhritarashtra that he should consider the Pandavas his own sons, and that he should not mourn his wicked sons who have gone to hell. Krishna then gives Bhisma the blessing to die. He takes a yogic breath and his body heals of all wounds before this soul shoots out of his head into the heavens. Bhisma's mother, the goddess Ganga, mourns his death until Krishna reminds her that Bhisma only took the form of a man because
In order to combat anarchy, Ashvamedha Parva begins with an advice from Krishna and Vyasa, who recommend Yudhishthira to perform Ashvamedha ceremony or horse sacrifice. Ashvamedha was the divine ritual used by ancient kings to prove the imperial sovereignty. It was a new and full moon sacrifice began in spring and took more than a year to complete. The solo stallion was allowed to run freely for a year, attended by the king's men. The horse returned after a year, just like the annual journey of the sun. It would then be worshipped again, the sacrifice, and the king would be declared as the undisputed ruler of all the land traversed by it. After the Kurukshetra war, Lord Krishna urged Yudhishthira, the newly crowned king, conduct it to prove his sovereignty, and Arjuna subsequently goes in his famous world conquest. When sage Vishwamitra is taking Ram and Lakshman to his ashram in Balakan, he talks to them about their ancestors. He explains how the Ashvamedha horse being stolen from King Sagar's ritual led to a series of events that shaped the world and ultimately led to King Bhagirat bringing Ganga to earth. In order to combat anarchy, Ashvamedha Parva begins with an advice from Krishna and Vyasa, who recommend Yudhishthira to perform Ashvamedha ceremony or horse sacrifice. Ashvamedha was the divine ritual used by ancient kings to prove the imperial sovereignty. It was a new and full moon sacrifice began in spring and took more than a year to complete. The solo stallion was allowed to run freely for a year attended by the king's men. The horse returned after a year just like the annual journey of the sun. It would then be worshipped again the sacrifice and the king would be declared as the undisputed ruler of all the land traversed by it. After the Kurukshetra war, Lord Krishna urged Yudhishthira, the newly crowned king, to conduct it to prove his sovereignty, and Arjuna subsequently goes in his famous world conquest. When sage Vishwamitra is taking Ram and Lakshman to his ashram in Balakan, he talks to them about their ancestors. He explains how the Ashvamedha horse being stolen from King Sagar's ritual led to a series of events that shaped the world and ultimately led to King Bhagirat bringing Ganga to earth.
Magbabalik ang Mahabharata makalipas ang patalastas.
Pag kailangan ng gamot, huwag mahihiyang magtanong. Kung may right med ba nito? May right med ba nito? Pag may kailangan gamot, huwag mahihiyang magtanong. Kung may right med ba nito? Ang right med ay premium na gamot na kayang bilhin. Dahil gusto namin na gumaling kayo.
Indra, the king of the gods, visits Yudhishthira and presents him with Akshaya Patra, a magical vessel that provides unlimited food during their exile. Draupadi's lamentation about her suffering and her desire for vengeance is a significant theme in this book. She expresses her pain to Krishna. There is a story within this book known as the Yaksha Prashna, where Yudhishthira encounters a Yaksha, a celestial being, and answers a series of questions posed by the Yaksha. These episodes imparts valuable moral and philosophical lessons. The Pandavas decide to leave the hermitage and prepare for the upcoming Kurukshetra war. The Asramabhasika Parva sets the stage for the great war that unfolds in the subsequent books of the Mahabharata. It contains dialogues and incidents that provide important lessons on dharma, duty, righteousness, and ethics.
We have finished Book 15, The Hermitage. Next, we proceed Book 16, The Club. It is about the Pandavas learned from Vaisampayana about the downfall of Vrsnes and Krishna's death. Vaisampayana starts by talking about the Vrsnes, who have become aware of their impending destruction at the hands of time. Krishna impels them to take a pilgrimage to the ocean. During this pilgrimage, the Vrsnes have a drinking party which turns into massive melee, wherein they create a club. With these clubs, they kill each other, destroying everybody, despondent at first but knew all along that this would be their fate. Wondering and decided that it was his time to die as well, killed himself by Hunter Jara, which is Sanskrit for old age. He ascends and rejoins the god. Without K or SNA, Arjuna is enabled the Vrsnes women from a kidnapping by a pack of thieves. He returns to tell his brothers of his defeat.
Yudhishthira learns of Krishna's passing and decides it's his time to pass as well. Yudhishthira devotes Pariksit as the new king and lead his brothers into the forest. The god fire forces Arjuna to relinquish his cosmic weapons. The Pandava brothers, along with Draupadi, embark on a journey to traverse the entire earth. They start dying one by one, and Yudhishthira reflects on their flaws. Bhima falls, leaving Yudhishthira alone, and Indra arrives on a chariot. Yudhishthira requests to take the loyal dog with him, which transforms into the god of Dharma. Yudhishthira achieves the highest celestial state and reunites with his brothers and Draupadi in heaven. He expresses a desire to be with them, transcending earthly existence.